What is going on, guys? Welcome to my review for last night's edition of SmackDown Live, which of course emanated from Pittsburgh, PA, my hometown. I was, of course, in attendance at SmackDown Live. Had a great time. Had really good seats. Don't know if I was on TV, but if you see a guy who held up the list of Jericho, then that was me. I made sure to bring the list because if there was anything on this show that I didn't like, you know what happens to that? You know what happens? Actually, let me go get the list. This is what happens. Right here. You just made the list. So we had a couple things that I put on the list last night, and we'll get into that. So make sure I have this. But I had a great time, great seats. They were in section, actually, 102. So they were club seats, so too sweet. But yeah, good time at SmackDown, 3 weeks away from WrestleMania. There was stuff that I did like on this show. There was some other stuff that left me going, didn't really care for too much. So overall, a positive experience from attending live. And for those asking, I did not stay for 205 Live. Had a really long day. So I just figured it'd be better to leave after that. I mean, seeing the way that they film these episodes of SmackDown Live, I really think it would benefit the cruiserweights. Just put them on before the show. And then that way, you can air that. You could still air it after SmackDown if you wanted to. I actually think it would be better if you aired it before SmackDown from 7 to 8. And then you go live with SmackDown and boom, then you send everybody home happy. But to me, the way that it's structured it's confusing. And for those also asking, what was the attendance like at SmackDown? It was okay. It wasn't a sellout because half the upper section was tarped off, so that was disappointing to see. With all that out of the way, let's talk about the nuts and bolts of this video. What did I think of last night's edition of SmackDown Live? I enjoyed it. I thought it was solid. It could have been better. I was going into it, I thought it was going to be better. It didn't quite live up to my expectations, but I still enjoyed. There was still a lot of stuff that I enjoyed on this show. So, speaking of, let's talk about how we kicked off SmackDown Live. We had AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan backstage, and Styles was pissed. He was livid after all the opportunities that he's had, and, he pretty much, AJ said, I'm going out to that ring tonight to vent my frustrations. And AJ comes out to the ring, gets a tremendous pop. The crowd was totally into AJ Styles tonight. So was I, because it's AJ freaking Styles. He's the best wrestler in the world today going. The MVP of WWE in 2016. And Styles pretty much, he went on a tirade here. This was great stuff. He said he's tired of being messed with by Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan. And, he has to jump through all these hoops. And if he was somebody like John Cena, he wouldn't have to jump through all these hoops to get a title match at WrestleMania. AJ, I love the importance that was placed on just trying to be the number one contender for the WWE Championship. That just elevates the prestige of that title because AJ tried to do everything that he could to become that number one contender, and he just fell short and felt screwed, by the actions of Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. He said he expected a one-on-one rematch. He never got that one-on-one rematch, and he's right. He was in that triple threat, but he wasn't the one pinned. He was in the Elimination Chamber, but that wasn't one-on-one. And he defeated Luke Harper 3 times, and then Randy Orton burns down Bray Wyatt's house. He doesn't get arrested, mind you, and I like how I brought that up. Yet, he gets put in the main event of WrestleMania. And AJ said, he's the reason you're sitting in these seats and watching SmackDown. He says he doesn't even have a match at WrestleMania. And how does the greatest superstar in WWE going today not have a match at WrestleMania? He said he could have slapped the taste out of Daniel Bryan's mouth, but we know that Bryan is just a puppet. And Styles would later on, he said, have a conversation with Shane McMahon, and we all know what went down there, but I'll save that for when we get into that part of the show. But I love this opening. A pissed off, full of piss and vinegar AJ Styles. That was great stuff, and it led to an even better segment later on in the show. So I thought this was a great way to kick off SmackDown Live. And from here, we had Becky Lynch versus Natalya. Solid women's match. Nothing really to complain about here. Becky being in the crowd, She got a nice reaction, and she was able to get the win via submission with the disarmer. She locked it in on Natalya, forced Natty to tap out. Afterwards, Carmella came down, threw her name into the Women's Championship match at WrestleMania, laid out both Natalya and Becky Lynch, so that was nice to see, put a little bit of heat on Carmella heading into that match, and she said afterwards, likewise, she will be throwing her name into the hat for the Women's Championship matches. It's going to be Alexa Bliss taking on the entire SmackDown Women's roster, so good to see Carmella added to that match, and we'll see where they go. We'll see who else is added to that Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. This was probably my second favorite thing on this show. It was the Miz TV segment with the expose of John Cena and Nikki Bella. The Miz and Maurice pretty much ripped the fact that, well, they're married and John Cena and Nikki Bella are not, and that John Cena will never, ever propose to Nikki Bella. I thought that was a nice line there. And Maurice actually talked a lot here, and this is the first time we really had the spotlight shown on Maurice since she's come back, and she talked about the fact that she was supposed to be the part of the first season of Total Divas, and Nikki promised that she would take care of negotiations because she's dating John Cena and she's untouchable. And then on Monday night, Nikki said she texted Maurice saying that her and Brie are going to make their return, and Nikki took money, opportunities, and 3.5 years that Maurice could have spent with her husband, and Nikki cheated her, Maurice said. Maurice will expose Nikki as a lying, backstabbing bitch. That was a really good line right there. Eventually, Cena and Nikki come down to the ring to a chorus of boos. So I'm wondering, is this going to lead to The Miz unintentionally being turned babyface because he's feuding with John Cena? We'll see. Wouldn't surprise me, though. Nikki says, Maurice, they were never best friends. You're just trying to make up this story to embarrass me. You can just stand there trying to steal money. And if you want to prove yourself, Maurice, why don't you step into the ring tonight and face me? If you really want to take out your frustrations, come on, step in the ring and face me one-on-one. What's holding you back? Eventually, Miz said, no, that's it, we're out of here, we're leaving. And before he could even leave, Daniel Bryan came out. So great to see Daniel Bryan for the first time in person. For me, it was the first time I saw Daniel Bryan live since I had the opportunity to meet him 1 year ago at the World of Wheels convention, which was great. It was awesome being able to meet Daniel Bryan. But Bryan came out here, and he pretty much said, all you do, Miz, is run your mouth, and Bryan so badly wanted to punch Miz in the face. And despite the fact that he wanted to go against the doctor's orders and he just wants to punch him in the face because you copy his own moves and you can't even execute them correctly. And this was getting me hyped up for a Miz-Daniel Bryan match that I know we're not going to get in WWE because Bryan won't be cleared. But he said to Miz, he knows two people who want to punch you in the face. And it's going to be the ultimate face-punching extravaganza in Orlando. It's going to be Miz and Maurice teaming up to take on John Cena and Nikki Bella. So there you go. You got the announcement of the mixed tag match, which I initially wasn't on board with, but these past 3 weeks, I've enjoyed the build to this mixed tag team match. It's been solid storytelling, mainly due to The Miz. He's really been doing a great job of carrying this feud, I'd have to say, and makes me look forward to a mid-card match. And who would have thought, at a WrestleMania, John Cena's in this role, but kudos to him for, going a step or two down the card. It's nice to see that. Gives other guys the opportunity. So you know what? We'll see how it goes. And, I've really enjoyed the build. Let's see. We had, this was, I had to put this one on the list. Alexa Bliss versus Mickie James. Now, on paper, you think this would be a really good match. And I thought, in the announcement, this is going to be good stuff. But crowd did not care. And as you all know, I'm not a fan of my hometown crowds. I just think they're boring. Nobody really makes any noise, and they usually just sit on their hands and feet. But boy, did they do this in this match. You could hear the pin drop in Pittsburgh. So probably due to the fact that we didn't know who to cheer for, because really it was two heels going at it. And just the match itself, it was decent, kind of dull at times. And I know these two can have a much better match down the line. So Mickie was able to get the Mick kick to pick up the victory, and don't really have too much to say about this otherwise. The match was just what it was. Then we had AJ Styles. This whole night they were hyping up that AJ's waiting for Shane in the back, in the garage area. He's waiting for AJ, or he's waiting for Shane. He's waiting. And eventually, when Shane walked through with his little bag with him, suitcase, Styles pounced on him. He started whooping his ass. He threw him into the metal siding. He threw him into a table. He just started punching him over and over again. Threw him into the car door, banged up his arm, and then he took Shane's head and threw it through the glass window. That was really nice and looked really devastating. Shane had some blood running down through the side of his head. Really just a brutal, vicious assault of AJ Styles, taking out all of his frustrations on Shane McMahon. It made sense for AJ to be at this point, for having all the opportunities, time and time again, being taken away from him. And he feels justified in doing this to his boss. And come on, who else wouldn't want to do this? You know, it's just like you're tired, you get frustrated, you're just at that breaking point. Styles finally reached his breaking point, and he beat the holy hell out of Shane McMahon. So this was a great segment. Really good stuff here. Looking back at how the show went, I would have kind of wished this is how the show ended, with this brawl. I think that would have been a great way to go off the air, because the way they went off the air was just like, okay. And we'll get into that. So I really enjoyed this first hour, but I felt like the second hour just, I don't know, with the way that the show was structured and paced, it was a little weird. I don't know, that's just how I would describe it. Dolph Ziggler versus Mojo Rawley. You just made the list. Oh, right there. This match ended in countout. Nobody cared. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about this match. Let's move on to Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. I thought Orton was okay here. I really thought the segment picked up big time when Bray Wyatt came up on the Titantron, and he pretty much called out Orton and said, you know, everything you said about him was right, Randy. And he said, you know, that he was naked and stripped of his powers until he found his way back to the Wyatt family compound. And Orton thought that he burned the soul of Sister Abigail. And so he did. Bray said, Sister Abigail is the spawn of Satan and was forged in hell. That was a really good line right there. And she still beats in the black hearts of all of her apostles. And she has proved him with her power. And it's Bray's duty to purge all the infidels in his life. And he'll start with Randy Orton at WrestleMania. She runs through him now. Bray is born again. And Bray took what remained of Sister Abigail and rubbed it all over his body and said, follow the buzzards. I want to see more between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. I just want to see these two go at it. I want to see a darker side of Bray Wyatt, an unhinged side of Bray Wyatt, who's lost everything, and he will do anything and everything to stop Randy Orton at WrestleMania. So I thought this was okay. It could have went more. I was hoping for physical interaction between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. I thought the stuff with Orton was kind of there, but the segment really picked up in my eyes when Bray Wyatt appeared, and it was really creepy seeing him rub the remains of Sister Abigail all over his body. And then we had our main event. It was the Usos versus American Alpha. First time in weeks since we've seen tag team action here on SmackDown Live. And I was wondering, is this going to be the last thing that happens on the show before it goes off the air? And it was, although Shane's announcement really was the closing segment of the show. I think it's impossible for these two to have a bad match. I think what hurt the match, of course, was the crowd, because the crowd they were there. They just weren't really making too much noise. You had, probably 8,000 or 9,000 in the building, and nobody's going to make any noise. I mean, I felt bad for American Alpha and the Usos, because they're the two legitimate teams on this SmackDown Live tag, if you could call it a tag team division. I mean, there really is that's the problem. There is lack of depth with this tag team division. That's why the tag team division is on the list. You know, it's just like, I don't know what you do. I mean, I know what you do. You call the Revival up and you put them on SmackDown. And if the Hardys come back, you can keep them as a unit if you want to, and maybe have them return to Raw, feud with the New Day, give them direction. So there's 2 legit tag teams right there that can infuse life and depth, much needed depth into this tag team division. But the Usos got the win here after Jimmy superkicked Jordan. Thought the match started off slow, but it picked up nicely towards the end. And it's impossible for the Usos and American Alpha to go out there and have a bad match. I just feel bad for Alpha as tag team champions. They've had real no direction since they've won the titles. I mean, this feud with the Usos kind of picked up, but then they kind of dropped it over the past couple weeks. So if there's the one negative about SmackDown, it's their tag team division, and I really wish they could get it in order. I really do. But then afterwards, Shane McMahon came out, and he said this was it. It was real quick, too. It was obviously they were up against the clock here. He said, AJ Styles doesn't have an opponent at WrestleMania. He does now. So it looks like the long-rumored match that some of you are looking forward to, others are not. I'll put myself in. I'm not really looking forward to this match, but I'll give it a chance. It's going to be Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania. I still think AJ deserves a better opponent. No disrespect to Shane, but that's just how it is. But maybe these two can go out there and have a really good match. We'll have to wait and see. But that was SmackDown. The way it kind of went off the air was, to me, really, it was abrupt, and it was just like, okay, we're over with, and then we left. I didn't, like I said, was tired, didn't want to stay for 205 Live, so don't really have any thoughts to say about that. But overall, I had a good time at SmackDown Live. It wasn't the strongest show that I was hoping for, but I still thought it was a good, enjoyable show, especially from a live event experience. I had a good time with my friend Mike, Club of the Man 1993, who went with me. So if anybody else went to SmackDown Live, you watched this video, let me know how your experience was. Leave your comments down below for what you thought of SmackDown last night. What grade would you give this show? Thinking back about it, I would give this show a B-. Like I said, wasn't the strongest SmackDown, but there was good stuff on it. So laid the groundwork with the mixed tag match being officially announced for WrestleMania. Shane versus AJ announced. And yeah, we'll see where SmackDown goes with 2 weeks left until WrestleMania 33. So that is it, guys, for my live review. Or not live. So he's saying that. For my review for SmackDown Live, the March 14th, 2017 edition. And I will be back up here with more content soon to come later this week, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. So thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to click that like and subscribe button for more video content coming soon to this channel. And I will catch you in my next video. So until then, guys, take care and have a great rest of your day.